Hey, what is going on? Welcome to another great episode of Built in Noco. Today, I got one of my good friends, Matt Estrin, here with me today. Matt, thank you so much for being here, brother. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Man, you are one busy guy, right? You have, what is it? Is it four business? Five?
Four I'm working on right now. Yeah.
Four you're working on now. Is there going to be a fifth one?
No, I mean, never say never, right?
Yeah.
No. As many as 7 at one point, but we're down to 4 right now. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you started off with 477 Distilling. It used to be called Tower 56. You guys had to do some kind of like rebranding on that a little bit. But kind of tell me, what made you want to start 477 Distilling?
Man, I like alcohol a lot. That's it. No, your listeners may not know you and I've got a history beyond the business world. So my previous job, kind of as opposite it could possibly be of being a distiller. I was a pastor for 15 years. And you and I first met at the church I worked at here in town, Journey Christian Church. I was a worship pastor, and you were serving on the tech side and served on my team, and that's how I got to know you and your wife. And so I did that for a long time, loved it, still love the church, still involved in, not that church, but still involved in churches today. But as a hobby, I had started distilling in my garage, and I really enjoyed it. It was a passion of mine that kind of developed over the course of several years. And in 2016, my grandfather passed away, left my wife and I with a little bit of an inheritance, not enough to start a business, but enough to let us dream a little bit. And we kind of just hit this crossroads where it's like, I'm not sure I want to spend the rest of my life doing worship ministry. We've got this little nest egg now. I've got this passion for distilling and for the manufacturing of alcohol, and so it kind of started down this road of I think we want to get into this and try to make this a living, and so that's kind of where it all started. The process took about 1.5 years from concept to opening. The very first thing I ever did when we decided that we wanted to pursue this path of maybe opening our own distillery, we found a school in Kentucky. It is a real school. I'm going to tell you the name, and you're going to laugh. But it is a real school in Kentucky for aspiring distillers. It's called Moonshine University.
Nice.
Yes. You can look it up. It's awesome. MoonshineUniversity.com. I'm a proud alumni of Moon U, they call it for short.
Moon U.
But they offer these like 6-day intensive classes where you go and it's 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. and they give you the full rundown of like everything you're going to experience as a distillery owner. And so that was kind of our first, when we decided that we wanted to pursue it, that was the first step. Send me to the school. Came back from that school just completely jazzed, ready to go with some great contacts. Met the former CFO of Jim Beam that helped me build my business plan and make some connections. And then we were off to the races. 1.5 years from concept to opening. We opened in June of 2018. And I don't know when this releases, but coming up on 8 years of business there. So, yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned the university. That's actually crazy. I never would have thought like you could actually go to school to actually learn how to be a distiller. That was not offered. I don't remember seeing that at all in my career fairs at all. It's always the policeman, the lawyer, the nurse, the doctor.
Yeah,
not a distiller.
I don't think they bring that into the high school career fairs for sure.
Yeah, they definitely don't.
But honestly, more and more schools are offering some sort of alcohol manufacturing degree. UNC here in town's got one for brewing, which can translate to distilling for sure. But yeah, the Moonshine University was like the best decision I made. I tell people all the time that ask me about going into business for themselves, like seeking education, getting professional perspectives on doing it. One of the best decisions I ever made, because it really let me go into the process with my eyes wide open, knowing a lot more than I would have done if I just would have gone, I want to be a distiller and I make it in my garage and now I'm going to open a business, So.
Yeah. So you mentioned you went to school and like you learned everything and then you opened up. What was it like when you first opened up? Like, did you have a pretty solid plan? And like, how did you get the clientele? Because like we talked to everybody around here in Greeley, even in people in Loveland, Fort Collins, like ask them, hey, have you been to 477 Distilling? And they're, oh yeah, I love that. Every time we're down in Greeley, like we always try to stop in. And so it's crazy at how quickly, or at least from my perspective,
Sure.
it seemed like it quickly
Yeah.
took off. Like, is it from the university that you attribute that to success, or what was there like a secret sauce? Not to, no
Yeah.
pun intended,
Yeah. Was there a plan? I think it's Mike Tyson's famous for saying everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right?
Yep.
And so we had a great plan to get open, and quite honestly, I would say it's funny. It's been 8 years. Some ways it feels like it was yesterday, and other ways it feels like I've been doing this for 30 years. There's a few things that I would contribute to some of the success. One is the city that we're in is incredible. I love Greeley, and I moved here reluctantly about 15 years ago, and thought that this town was going to be awful. And it won me over. I love the city of Greeley. We raise our kids here. I've got 2 daughters, and so I think that the city is just an incredible city for small business. I think they really take small business seriously in this town. They really take pride in their small businesses, and so I do believe that a lot of the success that we felt is the city that we're in. I think opening in Denver or Fort Collins would have been a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Second thing is I tell people this all the time. I get requests on a regular basis to consult on new businesses and new business ideas, and people seem to think that maybe I do have a secret sauce or I've figured it out, and the value of the personal brand is significant. And one thing I would really commend you on with your business that you're doing here is you're out there, man. You're getting your face out there. You're getting your name out there. You're pushing hard for people to know who you are. And I think there's a lot of people that have this mindset of, there's a famous movie from my generation called The Field of Dreams.
Yes.
And in the movie, the main character, here's this voice in his head that says, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. And so he builds this baseball diamond, and it's a great movie. But I think a lot of people have a mindset of business of, if I build it, they're just going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. It takes a lot of work to get people through your front doors. So one of the advantages I had from my previous career, which sounds goofy being that I was a pastor and now I make alcohol for a living, but I was a worship pastor at a church of about 1,000 people. And I was the second most recognizable person every Sunday outside of our lead pastor.
Oh yeah, so absolutely.
So when it came to the face of the church, you had our lead pastor, and then you had me, and a lot of people knew who I was. I didn't know who they were, but a lot of people knew who I was. And so when I opened my business, there was already a significant amount of people that knew who I was, that liked me, that trusted me, that thought I was going to make a good product. And so there was a base of people that showed up on day one, that I really didn't have to work that hard to get there, because I'd been doing it for 8 years as the worship pastor, unbeknownst to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, since then, I worked my butt off to be one of the most recognizable people in Greeley, and I think I've done a good job at that. Our family calls it being a Gree-lebrity. It's like a celebrity in Greeley. And you can't go anywhere in Greeley. The definition is you can't go anywhere in Greeley without somebody knowing who you are. And that is very true of me. I'm not trying to bolster myself up here. It's just the reality of, my kids hate it. We can't go to the grocery store without me knowing someone and stopping for a conversation. We can't go to a coffee shop or a restaurant where I'm not going to know somebody and shake a hand. There's a funny story within our family that we always joked about how I know people everywhere I go. And back in like 2019, I think we took a family trip to New York City. We were in Times Square in the M&M store in New York City, and somebody recognized me in New York City. And my family,
national fame gone.
My family literally, like, some guy's like, Matt, is that you? And both my kids and my wife just turned around and walked out the door. They're like, this is ridiculous. We're in Times Square in New York City. So I think the value of building a personal brand is huge. In the business, there's a very famous saying, people do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust. Mm-hmm. And again, the assumption that, man, I'm going to build this podcast studio, or I'm going to open this distillery, or I'm going to open this restaurant, or I'm going to open this coffee shop, and just because it exists, people are going to walk through the front door. But that's just not the case. You have to build a reputation as the owner where people know who you are, they like who you are, and they trust that you're going to provide them with a great service. And so quickly after we opened, I went headfirst into networking. I joined the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, which you have done. I show up to every networking event there is. I get my face out there as much as I can. And here we are 8 years later. I'm a part of multiple boards. I sit on the Downtown Development Authority board for Greeley. I sit on the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce board. I sit on the Loveland Area Chamber of Commerce board. So continuing to build my reputation in the community so that people know who I am, they like who I am, and they're willing to trust me with their alcohol experience.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, like, the alcohol experience has been great. Like, I will be honest, I am not a straight alcohol kind of guy. Like the old fashions, like everyone's like, yeah, you got to try my old fashioned, and everyone claims they're good. I just can't do straight alcohol. I don't know what it is. But I love the mixed drinks that you got, and you guys are always crafting something for the season, and like you'll bring back like some favorites for like the summer or for like the winter. Sure. But it seems like you guys are always crafting something new.
Right. Yeah.
And so I know I thoroughly enjoy that. My wife thoroughly enjoys that. It's like, great, what do they have new? Like, it's like your menu is just like almost like ever changing, which is fantastic, And I remember you mentioned opening up. I was one of those first ones, right from Journey. It's like, we're going to go and support our worship minister as he's like adventuring on the entrepreneurship route, and it was a great turnout. And I remember like the menu didn't seem like that good compared to what you guys have.
Yeah, first menu was 8 cocktails. Now we're up to like 30 something.
Yeah. So I mean, just that growth alone has been huge. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of touch on is, what was like your first year like? I mean, you had a lot of great support. Sure. So that's something, again, a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. They don't have the support. It's like you got to dive in head first and hope that you can swim through this. But did you have any rough patches? I mean, entrepreneurship, there's always rough patches, right? Like, I don't know what we're thinking when we do this stuff, but did you experience that? Because your story is a little bit different than I feel like most entrepreneurs.
There was definitely rough patches. And the other day, somebody told me in passing, they said, "Man, you make business ownership look easy." And I thought, buddy, you have no idea, man. Like the sleepless nights and the anxiety and we gonna make payroll this month. Like it's crazy, man. It is tough. Owning a business is tough. And again, it was 8 years ago, so I think my memory is fading a bit on year one. But yeah, there were absolutely rough patches where the money wasn't coming in as fast as we wanted it to, and maybe we were spending more than we wanted to, and it was crazy. I will tell you that the original intent of the business. So we manufacture alcohol, and the way that my business like this grows is through distribution. That we want to distribute throughout the state, throughout the country, and we want our products to be in liquor stores and restaurants, and that's really how that business scales and becomes valuable and sellable and creates a lot of wealth. And so early on, the game plan was that we wanted, and we have a tasting room, which operates like a craft cocktail bar. And in our state, we're allowed to do that. Other states have different rules. And so our initial intent was we wanted to have a craft cocktail bar that did okay and brought in some revenue, but our focus was going to be on manufacturing bottles, distribution, getting it out the door. And when we opened, our tasting room took off, and I was like a horse that, I don't like to ride horses. I think I've done it once. They scare me, but like the videos of a horse where it just takes off and somebody's just holding on for dear life. Like that's what it felt like in year one. Is the tasting room just took off, and we're in a really high foot traffic location in downtown Greeley. But it you want to talk about our plan got completely flipped the other way, where a little bit of tasting room traffic, a lot of distribution, And all of a sudden it was like our tasting room's going crazy. And that took all of our attention. We just put all of our energy into, okay, this is where it's going. And so we're going to put our time and our effort, our energy into that. So increasing our staff to be able to handle the demands on the tasting room. The stuff that we were manufacturing was pretty much just going into the tasting room for cocktails and for selling bottles. We got some distribution going early, but very, we're talking 10 or 15 accounts.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say is year one was a lot of learning, of chasing down the things that were working really well for us, which was our tasting room, the cocktail programs, and really leaning into that. And it probably wasn't until 2 years in that we really felt like, all right, we've got a handle on our tasting room. We're able to start getting some distribution going, more widely than Greeley, and then COVID hit, and then everything was a mess. But yeah.
So now, knowing what you know now, right? So it kind of sounds like you kind of like had a plan of like, okay, we're going to get the distribution and just sell, like distribute, and that was going to be kind of like the primary focus.
Right.
Then you had to kind of make a massive pivot in the preparation leading up, because you said it was about 1.5 years in preparation. What would you say to somebody like, because like this podcast studio, right? Like I'm sitting here trying to like get every single detail, and it just got to the point where I was just like, the heck with it, I'm going to launch it because I'm tired of trying to chase this perfectionism.
Right.
I'm not going to achieve this, but I actually have the space now where people can come in and do what they need to do. Is there some point in time where you're like, man, I should have launched like 6 months sooner than that, like knowing the tasting room was going to be like that, like, dang, I should have done that. Like, was there any of that?
No, I mean, we opened as quick as we possibly could, believe it or not.
Okay.
For our industry, it's a long ramp because of licensing. And so that 1.5 years, part of it was construction. We were building out our space. And I say 1.5 years, I mean, from concept, from the day that we were like, we want to do this, it was 6 months before we signed our lease, before we started making, so there was a lot that I'm not saying for everybody it's going to take that long, but that's how the process worked out for me.
Yeah.
But our licensing was a huge piece of it. We have to get a federal license first, then you get a state license, and that can take 8 months, depending on how organized you are. But to your point, if I'm talking to somebody like you and they're saying, I got to get all the details right, there's so much you don't know until you start. Yeah. And you can get every detail right, and then you open the doors and you get people in here doing the podcast and you realize, I got to redo this whole thing. You know what I mean? And that's what I would say has been my experience more with the restaurant that I opened, Oak and Maple, which you visited and tried, that I felt like I had it nailed. Like I had the menu nailed. I had, the process nailed down. The systems were good. I was confident in my ability to do it because of how successful I've been at 477. And man, we're 1.5 years in there and still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Still having to make tweaks and change the menu and figure, and we probably went through, man, I bet you we changed our menu 5 times in the first 2 months there because things weren't working and taking too long. And so again, like Mike Tyson says, man, you can have the best plan in the world until you get punched in the face. And the second you open your door, you're going to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And there's just so much you don't know until you get it open. And so, yeah, I mean, to your point, man, like do as much as you can to plan and prepare, but at some point you got to just go for it.
Yeah.
And the learning curve is going to be steep, and it could take you 1 year to hammer it out. It could take you 2 years to hammer it out. It could take you 1 month. But even for you now, like there's so much you're going to learn in this space as you get more clients in that are wanting to do podcasts, as you continue to create your own personal podcast. It will be a different product 6 months from now than it is today.
Yeah, which I'm looking forward to. Thankfully, the work that has gone into this thankfully it's been like, wow, this is really cool. So like I got that right. Like it's not like can we change the set? Like no one has come up and said that. Yeah, they love both sets. And it's been inspiring, especially we talk about Greeley and how it's built for like local businesses.
Right.
And I just kept hearing story after story after story on how people you just now mentioned you started in your garage. You were making it in your garage.
Yeah.
And there was, I think, Emily from Blush. She's no longer the owner of Blush, but she started out in her basement.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife loved that.
My wife shopped in her basement. Yeah.
And so I was like, huh. And then Chris Silvernell of Noco Fitness. If you guys are in the local area, check out Noco Fitness. Great ownership there. But he started out of the back of his Ford Escape. And then his first place of business was like a basement.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, if all these people can start a business in a basement, out of a garage, out of their home, I can do this too. And I don't have to wait for this perfect place and to open up and then try to get in there and get the lease signed and all that stuff. I just need to jump in there and get this thing going. And
kudos to you for doing that. Cause I would tell you, man, the amount of people that come to me, I would, maybe I'm being a little aggressive on this number, but I'd say at least once a week, somebody comes to me and goes, I've got this great business idea. I want to do this. I've got this. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do this, you know? And, over the course of 8 years, let's say, man, 100 people have talked to me about opening a business. Maybe 3 have done it. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard.
It is very hard.
And it's so easy. It's so easy to sit in a chair and to go, I could do that. I could start a distillery. I could start a podcast studio. I've got this great idea. I'm going to do it. Man, it's a whole nother thing to do it. So kudos to you for like taking the leap. You know, it's fun because what people are going to see is this very professional, gorgeous looking studio. And what they don't know is that we're in the garage of your house, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, you're doing it, man. Like, you're in the garage, you're doing the thing. And again, like, you talk about Chris, you talk about Emily, you know, me, a lot of people that I know that are in business, like the stuff that you learn from just starting. You know, your product that you're going to be offering people will be so vastly different a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, because you started it, you got it open, you figured out the kinks, and there's stuff that people aren't going to see that you're going to see and go, man, I need to fix that. You know what I mean? But this is just getting started is huge.
Yeah.
And any place, garage, basement, whatever it is, you get open, you learn what makes sense, you make some money, you keep growing. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to kind of shift us into the Hatchet House. So you mentioned like, hey, get stuff going. And I can't quite remember the dates on when you opened up. That was your second business, correct?
Business,
This Hatchet House was the second.
Yeah.
And
November of 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, like, was that after COVID, pre-COVID? Like,
in the middle of COVID.
Right in the middle. What a perfect time to be alive. So with that, I feel like that's a different story. And so we're 2 years after you open your first business. You're now opening your second business.
Yep.
Was that process any easier? Or, I mean, I imagine it had it had its differences for sure.
Much less complicated.
Yeah.
Than alcohol manufacturing. No doubt about that. Yeah. That one was interesting for me. So here's the background. I opened 477 Distilling, which then was Tower 56 Distilling. And in my head, I was going to be the distiller, right? Like, I loved being in my garage, making the product, doing the whole thing. And I thought, you know, when I envisioned opening my business, I envisioned me being the guy that's hucking the grains and mashing and fermenting and distilling it all and tasting it all. And a few months in to doing that, one of the things I realized was, as much as I loved that piece of it, what I loved even more was the business piece of it. I love business. Mm-hmm. And it was like this passion started really welling up inside of me of like, man, I love business. I love having an idea and creating it and opening it. And it just made me so excited. And so I pretty quickly knew, like, this isn't it. I'm not done with 477. I've never done drugs in my life, but I assume that opening businesses is kind of like my drug.
That's your addiction.
I mean, yeah, it's my addiction.
There could be a lot of worse addictions out there. This is a healthy addiction.
Well, ask my wife. I don't.
I mean, okay.
But so in my mind, I'm like, like, what could the next business be? And a mutual friend of ours, Gus, was getting married, and I was the best man, and so I had to throw his bachelor party, and I was looking at things to do, and I found this axe throwing bar down in Denver, and so we went down there, a group of people that you know and I know, and we went down there and had a great night throwing axes. But in the middle of that night of just having fun throwing these hatchets, I'm like, my entrepreneurial brain kicked in, and I'm doing the math. I'm like, man, we paid this much, and there's nothing to this place. It's like a warehouse that has some boards that you're throwing at and some chain link fence. I mean, it's not complicated. It's not nice, you know?
Yeah.
And they're selling you beers out of cans, and I'm like doing the math, figuring out like how much they're charging my group. And there was 5 lanes, and every lane was full of groups our size. And I thought, this is a brilliant business idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came out of that going, I'm going to start that. Yeah, we're going to do that. and I, you know, and I was equally passionate about downtown Greeley. I'd opened up a business in downtown Greeley. I wanted to continue to see downtown, you know, expand and thrive. And there wasn't a ton of entertainment options, you know, and so we felt like that was, you know, I was pretty keen on like, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this in downtown Greeley. And so for that second one, I recruited a business partner. I didn't want to do it on my own. I felt like the idea of running 2 businesses at that time was really daunting to me. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, I'm going to go find someone that could help me do this. So I reached out to one of my best friends first, and he kind of helped me build the business plan, and he and I kind of worked through it together. And then it just didn't make sense for he and his family at the time. And so he kind of helped me develop the concept, and then moved on. And then I reached out to Austin Jenkins, who is, owns it now. He and I mentored him when he was in youth group, and he went to our church, and he and his wife, Jana, you know, they kind of had that entrepreneurial, you know, mindset. And so, he and I sat down over pizza, and I pitched it to him, and I said, I'd love for you to do this with me. And he goes, I'll think about it. And the next day he dropped out of school, and we did it. So,
well, it's a lot of thinking he had to do on that one for sure. So was it like, with having a business partner, did things seem to kind of like click faster than like, because with 477, it was pretty much all you.
Yeah.
Well, you and your wife.
Yeah.
And it always helps to have, you know, a second, but to have an outside second kind of partner up with you, did it seem to like things like moved faster, like plan strategy wise, anything like that?
Yeah, it did, and it didn't. I mean, it actually, that one took about a year to open, only because COVID kind of killed it.
Yeah.
You know, we had signed a lease on a space like I think it was in March, right before the first shutdown happened.
Yeah.
And then the first shutdown happened, and everything went on hold. You know, the space wasn't getting built out, and so we weren't on the hook for paying for it until we moved in. So it was like, there's nothing going on. So, but you know, it was really helpful having Austin as a business partner. He's really good at the things that I was not good at. Great construction mind. He's got a great, kind of analytical mind in terms of the space. And so I feel like we had a great business partnership for sure. Mm-hmm. And together we able to accomplish for sure a lot more than I could accomplish on my own.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of business partnerships go sour. And I think if you were to ask him, we're still good friends. He and his wife bought my shares from me about a year and a half ago. So I don't own it anymore.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, so it's not mine anymore.
All right.
But yeah, it was a good experience, and I was glad I did it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to stop telling people, because I'm like, yeah, like Matt, he owns Hatchet House. And
okay.
So I've been repping you wrong there for the past year.
All good.
We've tackled 2 businesses. And I can't remember all 4. It's 477 Distilling. It was the Hatchet House. And then Oak and Maple, which is delicious. We've been there, and I'm going to say kudos to you for pivoting and adjusting, because the first time we went in, I don't think you had a gluten-free option.
Yeah.
And then I feel like within a month, 2 months, like it was a short amount of time.
Yeah, we got gluten-free on the menu pretty quick.
I love your guys' menu, by the way. Are those actually like home family creations that you guys have on the menu, or did your family kind of help make them? Like I've had questions about that.
So the story behind Oak and Maple is it's kind of a long story, but we actually created the concept for we opened a second tasting room in Loveland, and we knew that we wanted that tasting room to have food in it, and so we developed the menu for that tasting room, and it was born out of trying to find a concept that didn't require a ton of kitchen equipment, didn't require a hood, ventilation hood, because they're really expensive, and was quick and easy. And so worked with a restaurant group, came up with the waffle idea, which just so happened to be my daughter's favorite food. My youngest daughter, Riley, loves waffles. She has a waffle every morning for breakfast, and generally it has Nutella and strawberries on it.
There you go.
And so if you come into Oak and Maple, our top selling top item on the menu is Riley's breakfast, which is waffles, Nutella, strawberries, chocolate, whipped cream, maybe a little more than she normally has. But yeah, that's the idea. So back to your question. So 477 first, we opened Greeley Hatchet House in November of 2020. Then I was actually recruited by the city of Fort Morgan to open some businesses out there. So partnered with Austin again. We opened a cocktail bar out there. And then right across the parking lot from the cocktail bar, we opened another Hatchet House. Since then, we've closed that Hatchet House because it just didn't fly. Not enough people in the town, didn't quite work. And then that bar we sold to the general manager who was running it. So those are all off my plate now. And then we opened a second tasting room and a second Oak and Maple in downtown Loveland in about a year and a half ago. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So how many businesses are you currently
so technically
are on your plate?
So technically on paper it's two.
Okay.
It's Oak and Maple and 477. Location wise it's 4.
It's 4.
I've got
Okay.
2 477s and I have 2 Oak and Maples.
So
And 477's grown. So, we talked about the early days. So now we're in 9 states. So we're distributing nationwide, we're distributing all over Colorado. So it's become a much bigger monster than it was 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned 9 states. So that is impressive. I thought it was just like Colorado.
We're in 9 states.
Because again, we don't know who is listening, where they're listening from.
Sure.
They could be. Where could they find 477 Distilling bourbon?
Sure. Yeah. So we're all over Colorado. And so if you're in Colorado, good chance there's a liquor store in your town that's got it, or a restaurant in your town that's got it. Outside of that, we're starting to make a really good imprint in the Midwest. So we're in Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa in that set region. Our neighbors, we're in Nebraska, we are in Missouri, and we're in Kansas.
Wow.
Yep.
That is insane. Do you have any others that are kind of like working down the pipeline, like potentially getting into other states, or just the 9 right now pretty solid?
Yeah, we're always talking with people, and we want to continue to expand. It's a very interesting industry right now. Alcohol in general is trending downward.
Okay.
And so breweries are having a much harder time than distilleries are. But it also means that distributors are really tightening their grasp on which products they're taking in, because they want it to be high volume and big movers and big money makers. So generally speaking, there's one other distributor that we're talking to right now in another state. Personally, we are probably going to pull back on some of the states that we're in, just because some states are moving significantly more than others. And we'd rather focus in on the territories that we're doing really well in.
Mm-hmm.
So for whatever reason, cold climate, I don't know, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota are crushing our products. It's crazy.
It keeps you warm.
Keeps them warm. Yeah. And so we're going to put a little more energy into those territories, I think, this year. Obviously, it's very important for us to do really well in our own backyard. So we're going to continue to push hard into Colorado and do well in Northern Colorado and continue to expand our reach in Denver and Colorado Springs and mountains.
So is it so whatever you bottle here in Colorado, do all the other states get it? Or
we have to choose. So we have 11 products that we offer for distribution.
Okay.
And right now, Colorado is the only state that has all 11 that are in distribution. So Wisconsin's got 7 of them. Minnesota's got 6 of them.
Okay.
And so it just depends on what it is. But it's our most popular SKUs are the ones that move. So bourbon, rye, orange barrel, which is our orange flavored whiskey, chai liqueur, which is really popular, lemon drop, which is our lemon liqueur, is really popular. Our coffee and our almond do really well. And then our other 2 flavored whiskeys, our peanut and our cinnamon, are kind of trailing behind there. And then lastly, vodka, gin, those categories are small and don't do as well.
Yeah. Well, and I will tell you, so if you guys are listening and 477 is in your state, my personal favorite is the Almondretto.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm not a big alcohol guy. It's got to be a mixed drink, but it's just, I don't know, just maybe on another show we can go into the process. I know we're kind of lengthy on this one.
Oh, you're good, man.
Yeah, I just love, I mean, you pour that into some like hot chocolate, some eggnog, and man, like you are good to go. It is one of the tastier ones that I like, and that's one bottle that we always have. We always have the chai spirit, and then of course we always have one of the bourbons. And my wife loves it. Like it is, if you guys haven't tried cooking with it,
there you go. Yeah.
Like it is like you don't get that crappy bourbon from like Walmart. I don't know the brands, but I mean, your guys like, because my wife has tried different bourbons in recipes, and she always goes back to 477 Distilling bourbon. So whatever your process is,
it works.
I don't understand that, but you went to school for it, so you do.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of wrap it up, and I mean, pretty much anyone can find your businesses in downtown Greeley.
Yep. We have websites too, if you're curious, 477distilling.com, oakamaplewaffles.com. 4772, if you're into craft bartending, we actually offer free bartending classes on our website. If you end up picking up one of our bottles in a random state, a chai spirit or a Almondretto or an orange barrel, and you're like, what the heck do I do with this? We put tons of recipes on our website too, so we want you to have fun with it. So if you check those out, for sure.
Yeah, awesome. And you guys are also on Facebook and social media, and I would encourage everyone to check out 477 Distilling on Facebook. They have a lot of great promotions going on, especially like during the holiday season. You guys have like one of the best like Black Fridays and like the 25 days of Christmas that go up. And
that's my favorite. Yeah, we have a blast with that. That's kind of evolved over the years. We did that. When we first opened, we did that. We wanted to do, so 25 days of Christmas, we offer a special every day for one day only for December 1st to December 25th. And it started as just like putting a graphic on, like, here's what it is for the day. And then we started making these homegrown videos with our cell phones. And then it's turned into some professional video work and storylines. And it's out there, dude. But this year, if you get on, I think they're all still on our social media page from this year. This year's were wild.
Yeah, and, they were good.
They're very funny. We have a good time with it. We've created a superhero named Chai Guy, and this year was his sidekicks, Bourbon Boy and Senior Cinnamon. And sincerely, like every video, we go into it and we don't have a plan. And we're like, all right, what are we going to do? And sometimes there's some alcohol involved, and, we
just
drink a little bit.
Up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, drink a little bit, and the camera starts rolling, and it turns out to what it turns out to be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't offer you that before the show. I don't know if you were nervous or not, but I should. Maybe that's something I should have over there and offer. Like, if you want coffee, we'll do a little splash of this.
There you go. Yeah,
kind of loosen you up, especially with all the lights. But Matt, man, I appreciate you being on here and just sharing your knowledge. You've got a lot of extensive knowledge, and so definitely, might have to have you back on the show to deep dive into more of what you guys are doing in the community. I mean, just having a nice family friendly place. Like, that's the other thing too with like 477. It's family friendly. There's board games, there's things that kids can do. And it's not like this massive, like you mentioned, it's a tasting room, right? Yeah. It's not a bar. That was one thing I picked up on. You did not call it a bar. You called it a tasting room.
Yeah.
And it's just like a low key, nice vibe, relaxing environment. So yeah, we'll definitely have to try to hook something up and have you back on the show.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt.
Of course.